On my side? Perfect. Yeah. All right, we're about to kick off. All the audio perfect. Cool. And then just on LinkedIn and YouTube too. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Big welcome to everyone. Super excited for today's workshop. We have always a ton of people always come in immediately. So, guys, super excited to get started today. And we're going to be helping you guys specifically with your coaching business, with your agency to hit 30K a month. So, as people come in, please let me know. Monsef, good to meet you. Good to see you, Christian, as well. Let me know where you're coming in from. Number one, the most important thing is where you're coming in from. And then two, what business do you have, right? So over the past couple of years, we've worked with over 500 agency owners and coaches, as well as founders, different industries. And today's whole goal is to show you the exact map you need to hit 30K a month. This is from working with hundreds of business owners that have got to that point. So let us know inside as you're coming in. Algeria, awesome. And anywhere else people are dialing in from directly. And also let us know what type of business you have. The more info you can give us as well, the more kind of custom we can make. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, if you streamed in from YouTube, also if you've come in from LinkedIn as well, I want to say a big welcome. So we do a lot of streaming and I want to say a big welcome to everyone. And we're going to run through exactly how we can help you guys today. So the more information you're coming in, Aaron is coming from Bali. Aaron, big welcome, dude, coming in, one-to-one fitness and coach. One fitness coaching in Bali. You're in the right scene for it. You're in the right scene. So it's currently 8 a.m. for me as well in Bali right now. And we want to put as much time and effort into you guys today. We're going to do a 60 to 90-minute session where we'll go through some of the biggest building blocks that we've worked with directly with our actual clients. And what I've learned from being in the space for so many years is that you can push, but unless you get a few pillars in place, which we're going to focus on today, a lot of this doesn't actually matter. So Emmanuel from Canada, Connor as well, a lot of people coming in from Bali, love it as always, and we're getting more people coming in. So as you guys trickle in, let us know where you're coming from and also what type of business you have. So Aaron, we're going to be referencing here a few fitness coaching examples as well, just to make this as applicable for you as possible. And Brian coming in from Ireland. I wonder where in Ireland are you from? I'm originally from Cork in the south. So a very big welcome, man. And also, it's super late. For a lot of people that's based in Europe, it's like 1 a.m. or midnight right now, and it's 8 a.m. for us. So yeah, I wanted to say a big thank you for anyone that's staying up late from this, from Cavan. Beautiful. Neil from Australia, run a marketing agency. So look, we spoke to a lot of you guys previously. We did a good questionnaire for the past couple of days, and my big thesis from this is a lot of you guys are running agency businesses, and a lot of you guys are running coaching businesses. Now, full transparency, you probably don't even know anything to do with me. I'll go into a bit more detail, but we have a content agency, we have a sales agency, we have a coaching business, we have a seven-figure coaching business, seven-figure agency. So there's a ton of stuff here that we can bring huge value to you. So that's why I'm excited to get into the details today. So Amanda is from El Salvador, leadership development for women in construction, architecture, and engineering. Awesome. Cool. And Emmanuel is just starting his actual agency as well. So great. So as guys are putting in more details, it'd be fantastic to share more information. And then what we're going to do in the meantime as well, we're going to swap over onto the slides now. And we're basically just going to go through some of the philosophy for this because look, we do monthly webinars, we do monthly events, we do in-person events, we work hands-on one-to-one with clients, we have coaching, we have agency, we do it for people. And what I've genuinely found over the past couple of years is this 30K a month mark is the biggest break point because you go from being getting started almost like a freelancer as an agency and as like kind of like this interim kind of coach to running a business. And look, as we pointed out, if you know your stuff really good and you're an expert in what you do, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be, everything to do with business. Now you can be great at what you're doing, but just because you're, let's say, a marketing agency, just because you're a fitness coach, doesn't mean that you have the skills to be able to get to 30K and beyond there. So I want to be able to kind of install those four big overarching teams today and then show you, okay, this is the step-by-step process you need to go on. And honestly, just follow a process because where you're at right now and where you're at specifically in your business, there's like a few building blocks that we need to get down. And that's as far as we need to go. There's a few big building blocks. You need to almost follow like a very streamlined process. And I'm going to be very transparent with you. You can just kind of take away a lot of things as well. So as you grow and as you scale, it's not about adding more stuff to your plate. It's actually about stripping things back and being laser focused on a couple of small areas. So if that sounds all good to you, we're going to get straight into it and let's get cooking. So, why does it though feel so hard sometimes and it feels like you're always pushing a rock uphill? That is a common issue in all businesses, right? There's a bit of resistance as time goes on. But especially as you go from that kind of 5K a month mark and you move up. Because being quite frank to you guys, you're not stupid, right? You have done something, you're up and running, even if you're starting your agency, right? You guys are smart people. You get the game, you get the online business game, and this is a tough place to be in, but it's a very profitable place to be in. So what do the big guys know that you don't know? That's the big issue here because it's not like you're not as good as them. So what do you not know? It's the structure. It's quite literally what is a structured philosophy that you can follow on when you're selling high ticket, right? So any sort of high ticket offer, an agency or a coaching business, they're all going to be in that range of $2,000 plus, okay? Whether that's a month or for the program. So if you're selling something for 2,000, 5,000, 7,000, that's high ticket, right? And the way we want to structure this is that we're pulling in the right leads into your world because most people are hitting this kind of like heavy ceiling where it's one penny in, one penny out. There's quite literally zero leverage inside your business. And that's tough, right? That is very tough because the theory of quote unquote scaling, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail on this, is actually fundamentally wrong in online business space. Because keep it simple, you have to do more work to scale. And I think it's not a leads problem because for a lot of you guys, you're running like organic content. You might have content on LinkedIn, content on Instagram. We do a lot across both of them. And for us personally as well, as we were building our content agency back in 2021, it wasn't necessarily a leads issue. It was mainly the structure as to how we had our offer, how we had the right content, and how we had the right sales process. Now that's very tactical, right? So there's a lot of tactics that are obviously we're going to share, but there's also a lot of fundamentals, okay? Because there's these core beliefs right now that are keeping the business small. And I think a lot of times, including myself, right? It's a mindset issue. The mindset behind why you're trying to grow your business is a little bit off. And I want to try to work through those specifically with you guys today. So let's take some examples as well, right? So for Sean as well, he's a cold calling business, cold call training business. Who here like feels that they don't want to be salesy with their content? We're gonna put a one in the chat here. Just anyone that feels like, oh, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to push things on people. And this is a very common issue. Okay. People feel like they don't want to push their brand, push their name. And the reason being is because it makes them hold back. And I've seen this firsthand. People don't start running DMs. People don't start creating content. They don't launch the offer. They drop their price. They undersell themselves. And what is the result of this? You stay in that bracket, right? You stay in this very tough bracket of 5 to 10K a month because you don't value the work you're putting out. Now, that's not like inherently your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix. And this is what I really want to focus on with people today is the way that you've been running your business right now. We want to look at those big limiting beliefs. One of them is you don't want to be salesy. And then you have to reframe it. You have to reframe that because you want to be successful, you want to make money, and you want to get your offer in the right hands. So if we can change the mindset around that, install that confidence, and then the competence follows this. That's how I always like to actually phrase this because right now, like it's almost like the creator curse. You want to protect your image. You want to be able to make sure that's easy for prospects to see, make sure it's a simple process for you, but that actually holds you back. So that holds you back from a volume perspective, from an input perspective, from doing the work that gets you to where you want to go, right? The other biggest kind of issue is I think people really undervalue their work and they say things like, but what if people don't want this? I have an offer right now. I think of an offer. We reference the simple example of fitness coaching, okay? But what if people don't want it? So does anyone ever feel like that? Especially, I think for a lot of agency owners, just put a one in the chat if you feel like, oh, like I don't want. I think that people don't want what I have, and people don't want what you have if your offer is very, very basic. And I'm going to go through how to define this offer, tailor this up, ramp this up. But you actually have to get people that to need what you have, right? It's the same offer, but they have to get them to need what you have. And I always think back to my own story when we ran a content agency initially. It was very much a want versus a need. So how do I change that behavior? Well, one, I got to change it for myself. And then obviously we got all the tactics, right? We got all the tactics that we can install. But what is that fundamental underlying belief that we need to shift? Because if you don't make these shifts, here's exactly how your business turns out. You end up trying to change positioning, launch a new offer. I've seen this firsthand. People in around that 10K a month mark, and they think, damn, it must be easier if I just start coaching. And it's like, no, you've missed a fundamental thing here, which is what is the offer? How do we dial up the offer? How do we turn up the degree of it, the performance of it? And as Sean said, they want it versus they need it, right? If they need it, it's top of mind. And this is the reason why you jump at something when you're sick, right? You need some medication, you jump on it because you need it. Your body needs it. And I think this is where I the competency comes from. Again, a lot of this is internal, a lot of this is external. I'll help you with the external. We've all the tactics in the world, but you have to understand that like a lot of these limiting beliefs is what's holding you back internally. And then we work through that stuff, we plow through that stuff, and we get into the next stage of the rollout. So again, what are you explaining right now? How are you viewing this? Because I always say that like the lack of confidence you have is due to the lack of clarity in the offer. If I knew, especially as a fitness coach, this offer improved my health, wealth, and relationships, it got me a six pack, but it gave me all the confidence that I needed in my business. That makes it much more valuable than a macronutrient program, right? We got to be able to understand what's clear and what's clever with our offer. Okay. You'll always hear me say confidence precedes competency. The reason why you're confident in what you're doing is because you're competent in getting the result for people. And I really want to focus in on this part because delivery is a huge thing that we actually focus on. The next issue, this is definitely a personal one that I see, not in a bad way, but just always continuously is the philosophy of scaling means doing more. Now, let me know. Just put a one in the chat if anyone feels that they're almost fearful of scaling because they feel like, oh damn, Darren, I don't want to take more sales calls. I don't want to have to do more client delivery. And if you're in that position, you are not scaling. Like that's not scaling. What happens is you're doing more work because you have more clients, and that's okay, right? Because the underlying system is not really well designed. And look, my background's in engineering, my background's in startups. I understand how to build this stuff, so I can walk you through kind of how we do this, okay? But most importantly, you have to understand that this method here is not correct. Because if making 30K a month means doing 3 times more work, you actually just have a fancy job. And no issues with that in the beginning. I always like to say people can kind of cut their teeth, build something initially, but then start to systematize their business. So any sort of coaching business to get to that multiple 30K a month mark every single month, it's going to involve that more systematic approach, which is great. So Montev said, I do avoid DMs because I really don't know what to say, how to start a conversation without giving the impression that I'm trying to sell them something. Great. Okay, so this is really, really good. Montev, we can lean into this too, right? Because we work on full spectrum. Okay, so we're going to lean into this. And the last part is I need a big team, right? So either you need a big team or you feel like you're scared of hiring. You're afraid of bringing people in. And if anyone feels like that pain right now, let me know because I'm going to show you some absolute crazy stories of women that have got to multiple six figures a year, a month with a tiny, tiny team, right? The right people in the right seats, the right people in the right seats. And this was my philosophy, right? And this was the story of ours, our journey, and I can get into a bit more of this in a detail. But the big thing here is you don't need more people, you need more leverage. You need a better offer, you need the right content, you need a simple sales process. And I want you guys to think of that front and center. So we have those 4 overarching problems that we're going to really solve for you guys, right? And these all stem from a few things. You guys are all entrepreneurs, right? You're stubborn people. You went against the grain. You probably went against the 9 to 5, or you went against even some of like your family's like ideas for your career. But as a result of that, you don't want to relinquish control. You have a fear at times of what scale means like, and you want that you don't have the structure. But that's the underlying issue. And that's okay. We'll walk through that today. We'll get that done. So I want to give you some tactical examples, right? Anyone who's here is a coach, okay? One of my great clients and friends, Mark. Mark was literally in credit card debt. He was literally in credit card debt, and he hit 30K a month, maybe about 3 or 4 months after starting working together, by removing these big bottlenecks. Now, there's the mental side, which we need to work through. Then there's the tactical side. I can tell you the tactics, I can tell you the volume, I can tell you what you need to hit. But we need to work through those smaller internal philosophies initially. Mary, one of my favorite people of all time, Mary came in, had very little understanding of like, how to actually scale and kind of build a business. As a coach as well, she doubled her revenue in 30 days by using the right content to attract clients, right? So the offer was very aligned to our content, which is a big part for today. And then Andrew is one of our best students of all time. Andrew started with us when I think he was like 18 years old. Now he's 20 years old. He hit his first 50K a month mark. So, and this is with an agency as well. Okay, this is with an agency as well. So really utilizing these different components of what's the right volume, what's the right content strategy, what's the right setup. And as I mentioned, Sophia, so someone a little bit further on, which is fantastic for you guys to reference, came to us making 30K a month, which is a good example here, and scaled to 145K a month. Now, I will just say transparently, so Sophia got to 100K with one VA and an ads manager, which is crazy. So the jump that you want to go to as a coach or an agency owner is not that complicated. It's not that quantum leap. And I want to bring this down and I want to simplify a lot of this down for you guys today. So a lot of you guys are new. You've come in new. You've seen a lot of our content in the past couple of weeks and you've come in new. So it's important for me to explain why the hell should you listen to me. Okay. So back in 2020, I started out in my tiny little bedroom in Ireland. I was posting content to absolutely no one. I was on the back of my third failed business. So let me give an example. I was 23 years old, 24 years old. I had ran events in my late teens. I had did ecom after that, and I had my own tech startup after that, and they all went to zero. And the reason being is because wrong product, otherwise known as the offer, no traffic, and no idea how to close. Okay, and now obviously we're helping you guys with high tickets specifically. But to look at this, when I started back in 2020, there was no audience, right? I had no audience back then. There was basically nowhere. There was no internet back then. No audience, no experience, no real magic pill around this. But that same business, Boex to this day is a large company, a large education business, and a large agency. We built all of that business from content. Okay, so utilizing content, which I'm going to show you guys today, how to align that to your offer. And we really, really rinse that process over and over again. So we were working high ticket, selling over the phone, focusing on the right offer, speaking with our prospects, getting them to cross the chasm to work with us. Now we've helped over 500 clients do the exact same process. So this is building a high ticket offer, scaling with content, and then converting people on the back end with sales. And we teach the gift, should I say, of sales. And this is in different industries. So as I alluded to, now we've had our agency, we've had our education business, and we also have my software company, which I'll mention in a minute. But we've also been working with people in these industries, right? So whether you're a large B2B now and you want to get leads for your marketing agency, or whether you're a creator business and you want to finally monetize your audience, it's respectfully the same thing. And I think that's allowed us to help so many coaches and so many agency owners at scale for the past couple of years. Emmanuel, we're going to come back to that question about scaling as a solopreneur. That's a great question, and I'll keep that front of mind. So look, over the past couple of years, we've generated over 30 million online for our clients. We've grown our business to multiple seven figures, on way to 8 figures now in total, eight figures in revenue, and that business has got to multiple seven figures a year. And most importantly, our software company right now, Aura, is also a scaling software company. And it's the same thing that I'm going to show you guys today. And I had the same issues. Team, scaling, the more work, all this kind of stuff, and the lack of leverage. So Emmanuel, we're going to really focus in on your question too around solopreneurship and how you can how you can do this, right? How you can cross that chasm with the right offer. So stage one. Stage one, and the first problem we're going to solve is fixing the offer. What I want you guys to understand is with your offer right now, we need to take a step back and look at how can you turn your fitness offer, your marketing agency, whatever that may be, into a specific painful problem. So I want you guys to write down in a second, right? What is the painful problem that you solve for a specific user that's easy to find online? Let me break down that sentence. What is the painful problem? So the painful problem for you right now could be generating more leads for them, could be fixing their relationships, it could be improving their health. For a specific user, okay, so can we get really detailed on that ICP? Is it entrepreneurs? Is it roofers? Is it legal teams? And the most important part is that's easy to find online. I don't want you guys to try find someone who doesn't use the internet. I need you guys to actually answer that specific question. Because we want to take that initial approach and we want to dial it up. So, speaking specifically to Emmanuel's point, we basically built a model, which I basically built myself, called the Price and Proximity Index. Okay. So, what's happening here is how close can we get to our clients to be able to actually scale them as a result? Because with your offer right now, let's just say it's a fitness coaching business and you're working with entrepreneurs. What we need to do here is look at how do we position our offer in two sides. So one, based on price and proximity, okay? Two, based on price and speed. If I work with you in a one-to-one capacity as a coach, I should get better results. And this is where the confidence comes from. If you're at the early stage and you've been getting some very, very good results for people, we need to use that and leverage that as your core offer. Same with a marketing agency. If you're working and you're doing done for you service for a marketing agency, that is absolutely imperative that you really, really include that. So if you see up here in this top right corner, I want you guys to overemphasize on the one-to-one component, because getting to where you are right now, let's say like 10K, is about doing like the unscalable part. Most important is to do the unscalable part. What we do in this instance is we look specifically with clients, where they're at right now, and we see, can we dial up that specific offer? So can we include more aspects of health, wealth, and relationships? So let me give you an example. If you're a marketing agency and you're getting actual leads for people, how we do this is we're going to focus first on the actual service, but include specifically in the offer, hey, here's how we're going to get you leads. That's going to drive revenue for your business. Here's how we're going to buy back your time on the health side. And here's how we're going to improve your brand, whatever that may come with on the relationship side. We have to be able to include different components of it, and this is what drives a higher price. Scaling to 30K a month isn't about selling, 1K offers for 30 people. I want you guys to have a blend. I want you guys to have a more of a higher ticket premium offer that's in that range of 3 to 5,000, if not even more. And then I want you guys to look at how do we split this out into different programs. Okay, so let's just give an example. If you guys are running a one-to-one offer right now and it's tough as hell to scale, but you got good results, you have a bunch of clients right now that want your help, but they can't get your help because they can't afford you. Maybe there's a price discrepancy here. So what we do is we include a group component, a group coaching component. Similarly, if you have a service-based business and people already have a team, you can include one-to-one as a consulting offer. So coaching one-to-one can have a group offer. Service-based business can also have a consulting offer. And what this allows you guys to do is you guys can literally just make more money from the leads that you have. Let me tell you a story. Back in 2021, I started out my business, started my agency. I had 32 leads. 32 leads. I put them in a CRM, which is a fancy word for a spreadsheet, and I loaded them all up. And of that list, I knew everyone's birthday, their accounting year, all that kind of stuff. There was only so many people that I could actually quote unquote sell to, because there was only so much people could spend 5K a month on my agency. But over time, when I had that offer dialed, it solved a painful problem for a specific user that's easy to find online. We then had a consulting offer. That consulting offer allowed me to go from 20K to 40K to 80K to 100K, because we were consulting clients and we were doing it further. Because I want you guys to think like almost like limitless about your offer, because it's always based on price and proximity, and it's always based on speed and proximity. Because if you were to replace the word price here with speed, what would happen in this instance is the more that I pay you, the faster the results I get. So I want you guys to look at this from this concept, especially if you guys are trying to keep your team small. Emmanuel literally just talked about what can you do as a solopreneur. As a solopreneur, as a small coach, we need to have this scalable, repeatable pattern. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about this in more detail. It needs to be scalable, it needs to be repeatable, and it needs to be enjoyable. I don't want you guys to hate your business. And how we do this is by having this function on top. We have a one-to-one function, a group function. We have a service-based business and a consulting offer. And it's a very simple process to see how we can utilize the leads inside your DRM, leads inside your CRM. The other side of it too is, as I mentioned about dialing up the offer. There's 3 different ways to think about your offer right now. There's the nice to have, there's the need, and then there's the must have. The way I think about this is a nice to have is like a vitamin offer. If you imagine a vitamin, right, that's on the side of that's in your cupboard, it's nice to have. You don't really need it. How do we add that into a must have? How we do this is we include elements of health and relationships and wealth. We start to include and dial this up. And lastly, we have a bleeding neck solution. The bleeding neck solution, the best example is if you imagine yourself bleeding out, how much would you pay to solve that issue? You'd pay quite a significant amount of money. And I think this allows you to understand, okay, where are we priced right now in the market? Why is no one buying my thing? And let me give an example. With our agency back in the day, we helped with social media growth, whatever the hell that means. And I remember getting an email from someone saying, hey, no one cares about social media growth, e.g., kind of relationship networking thing. What they actually care about is wealth, getting leads. So we were able to build that and embed that and dial up the offer. My basic offer, same thing, same implementation. The positioning changed. And because the positioning changed, revenue went up. Clients came in. They wanted it. They needed it. They must have it. And as a result, that allowed us to get to the next level. So as you see here, I'm not asking you guys to jump through fire. I'm asking you guys to look at the offer you have right now. What can we add to this to really blend it? Okay? Because I think for a lot of you guys who are almost worried about launching your offer or to try scale your offer, your pricing is kind of all over the place. My best feedback for you right now with this is price your offer at 70% of what you want it to be in the future. If you want to sell it for 5K a month, sell it for 3. If you want to sell your program for 8K, sell it for 6 and 6 or 5.5. Get the reps in. Bring people into your funnel. Design that funnel in a really simple way. Get the reps in and build out that confidence. Because this is where you get demand. And I think if you're looking to solve one of the big problems that I pointed out about, I don't know if people want this, we have to make them actually want it. And by dialing in the painful problem, having that index defined really well is the simplest way to really solve this offer issue. And if you don't think you have an offer issue, that's actually the next signal is what's coming back from the market. Cool. And that's what gets rid of this. What if people don't want it, right? So let me know in the chat or put a 1 in the chat if you feel like you're seeing a bit of visibility here. You're seeing how this walks through this process. Because I think the biggest thing here and the biggest lesson is if the problem is centered to you, then it's actually the demand is going to be there. We just need to actually build it. So we all know that we should work on our business, e.g. wealth. We all know we should work on our relationships, and we all know we should improve our health. But if the problem isn't front and center, then no one is going to demand it. So what we need to do is we need to create that demand. looking at what are the biggest levers that people struggle with in your industry right now. And you can make a note of this. What is their pains? What are their problems? What are their desires? What are their fears? Pains, problems, desires, fears. So if I'm helping someone, which we do, we help agency owners and coaches. Their pains are getting leads and growing. Their problems are they don't have a process. Their desires are they want to hit 100K a month. And their fears are they're not going to get there in time. And if we have that priced out and indexed, we then can layer up our offer. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Noel, as well for this. Having a structure, that sounds really good. So just basically just having that structure. This is the thing, right? Just having a simple structure. So I really want you guys to write this down. Pains, problems, desires, fears. Keep it very simple. Okay. Now, part two. I want to help you guys with the systems. Okay. Again, my big philosophy on this is scaling. It does not mean more work. If you think about it, it actually that doesn't make sense. Like it literally doesn't make sense to do more work. We don't want this 1 + 1 = 2. I'm genuinely looking at this 1.1 + 1 = 7. And if you look at things like content, if you look at things like the skill of sales, if you look at things like building a better offer, that gives you leverage. That's what gives you like actual leverage. Because instead of like flogging a dead horse and having the same offer just on repeat, take a step back, make that better. And look, we have thousands of different ways to kind of improve this with scripts, all this kind of stuff. But that's the first point. And then we actually need to scale with systems. Now, I don't want to go down this like super like here's like all the automation routes. Like all you got to know is where are the bottlenecks right now in your business and how can we solve them? Okay, so let's break this out. Our model is the offer, the content, the sales process. What I want you guys to really focus on, specifically for your delivery, okay, is how do you make this repeatable, scalable, and enjoyable? Let's go through each individual step. What repeatable truly means is you guys can get consistent results for clients on a long enough time horizon. So let's just say you have a coaching business. If you're working one to one, we need to make sure that you have the right documentation that's given to the client on the right day every single week or every single month. The result needs to be repeatable. If you can get someone an 8 out of 10 experience, but nail an 8 out of 10, I would much prefer that than someone's getting a 10 and someone's getting a 4 and someone's getting a 5. Why? Because you're going to churn, right? Your clients are going to go in the back door. They're going to fail. So let's map out how you do your delivery right now on this site. Then looking at, can you actually take load as of now? Do you need some support maybe on the content side, on the sales side, on the delivery side? Because if you can't see where you're going in terms of operations, it becomes a bit of a hellhole. And then the last point is enjoyable. A lot of our clients, when they come to us initially, they'll say, hey, like I feel super burned out. I'm doing all this work and it's not contributing to results. And it's because like they're actually following the wrong process overall. So let's take this a step further, right? Look at your client right now. Look at your client's base right now and look at what their goal is, okay? Specifically their goal. Through the offer building process, let's go the whole way down the chain. Let's go down to the delivery. Let's go down to the outcome. Let's get to the next stage of this. If the first part is what is a painful problem that we solve for a specific user that's easy to find online, the next stage is what is a transformation that we will deliver to a client? What are the two states? Now, let's work with a health example. It's a super simple example. Probably the person is a little bit overweight. Maybe they might have bad blood work, might be inactive. The transformation to that isn't running on the treadmill every single day. The transformation is feeling confident, having energy, sleeping better, performing better, making more money in their business. That's the transformation. So because we have the transformation, we now just want to break down exactly that delivery process. What does it look like working with you as a client over 7 days, 30 days, 45 days? Please write down those small individual parts because I want you guys to take ownership of this, right? I want this workshop to be interactive. So looking at those specific milestones that you're bringing for your clients. And I think, look, you don't need to have all the things in place, but if we just have the painful problem and then we have this transformation, This is very, very helpful because your offer should reflect what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And your offer will reflect how we help you guys get clients. Okay. Next stage. What can we do to pull back a lot of your time in your calendar? Because right now, where you're at, let me know if you feel this. Do you feel that you're doing almost everything in your business? Put a +1 in the chat, right? You're doing acquisition, which is sales and marketing, and you're doing delivery, which is your coaching, your fulfillment as a service provider. If that's what feels apparent to you right now, it's chaotic. And look, I've been there. I know that feeling. So when we understand that step-by-step process as to how we're going to work with people, I want to see where you guys can buy back your time. So let's look at it logically. In your content right now, you need to be creating content for sure. You need to create your reels, your scripts, your processes, and you need to record. But all the other stuff, you don't need to do. You can have an editor to support you on your mission. You can find an editor on online, okay? They can help you with the support of this so that your marketing improves. We have a better system for bringing in leads. On the sales process, we can streamline the sales process to make sure that it's very easy for people to come in, chat to you on DM, all that kind of stuff. And then Martel, exactly, buy back your time. Great, great approach. And then we need to look at specifically on the sales process, how do we get back our time on that? And then on an agency level. Now let me tell you a story on this, right? So for our agency, I've literally, quite literally never done delivery. From day one, I had an editor, I had a designer, because it was a content agency, okay? And then when I was making 11K a month, I brought in an ops person. And look, I'm not saying that you need to hire 100 different people. I'm saying, what are those key specific roles so that I can focus on sales and marketing? Because every minute that you're not doing sales and marketing, you're not actually growing your business. Yes, you need to do your delivery, and your delivery needs to be spot on. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying that we need to put you in your best seat. So if you look at your day, and I say this to all of my clients on an ongoing basis, let's systematize your calendar. The start of your day is acquisition, sales, marketing. The second half of your day is delivery, working with your clients, all that delivery process. In that block, where are you struggling the most right now? Are you doing all the heavy delivery and so on? That's preventing you basically from growing. Now I'm going to get to the sales side, but I want to just give you guys some school of thought, right? If you're signing clients right now, or you're doing your marketing and you're bringing in clients, and you're filling up your call with sales calls, and then you close those clients, and then you actually have to deliver on them, and then you turn off your sales, you will get into an infinite hamster wheel. I'm not saying to put in sales reps or anything like this. I'm saying having the right support function on the back and also the right systems. Okay, so whether you're using your automations and stuff too with this. And I want to give you a very, very specific example on this. So Ben, great dude, he runs a short form content agency. I'm going to give you two examples on this. So Ben came to us last year. I think it was in summer of last year. And what was super interesting about Ben was he runs a short form content agency. And way harder than coaching. Way harder than coaching. And he wanted to grow his short form content agency. And I looked at his clients and I said, dude, like a lot of your clients here are like fitness coaches. They're kind of influencers and so on. And I said, what about if we just double down on the whole fitness coach client? I said, okay, cool. And I said, what if we turn this short form content commodity offer into a painful problem? So what he did was he took the same thing, editing clips for agencies or for fitness coaches. And instead he said, we're going to help you drive more leads, scale your business. We're going to help you buy back your time, and we're going to help you, grow your network. And he started signing all of the big guys in the space. Now, on top of this, he started bringing in people to help him with fulfillment. Okay, he had editors, he has designers, he has a right system in the back end that we worked with him on specifically so that his delivery was locked in.
And then Ben went from 5K a month to 45K a month in a month. This is so crazy. In a month. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel, on our testimonials channel. He actually did a full breakdown of this. And I think it was a crazy story. Now, what did we do here? We made the offer better. We doubled the price. We tripled the price. 2K to 6K a month. We went after the right leads, people that had money, okay, that were able to invest. We went after dialing up the back end, the delivery side. And this is the first time I've really got into the back end with people. So hopefully you're finding this valuable, because like this is the real crux of getting to 30K, 40K, 50K a month. So then as a result, I said, Ben, let's go. Like, let's scale this. And then he's actually able to actually scale, not just do more work. So let me know if you see this and you see the change in here, and how this kind of adjusts as well as time goes on. Because you need to move from being like the maker, the person that does all the stuff, they can make stuff, makes the clips, does the coaching calls, runs everything, to the scaler, the person that's going to actually put more revenue into the business. And this is where we need to change the mindset, change the process, change the philosophy. Okay. So how we do this for you guys specifically is, let's focus on one core channel for your acquisition: LinkedIn or Instagram. We started on LinkedIn in the beginning. Obviously, for our education business, that's more heavily suited towards Instagram. So it depends on where you're at. And then we add in YouTube. Okay. So that's our acquisition channel on this side. We have our content on the front end. We have the painful problem that we solve. We help coaches and agency owners get to 30K to 100K a month. We help them on their content side. And then that becomes like the whole engine as a result. So just like Ben did it, just like Mark did it, got over the kind of hump, like the mental barrier, and then moved more into the acquisition side. And remember, the first half of your day on acquisition, the second half of the day on delivery. And please stick to that. Like, please make that really apparent to you. I want that to be on your diary, almost on your calendar every single day. Because now we have these two scenarios whereby the offer is feeding into the content. Everything that's in your content comes from your offer, and it even comes from your delivery. A lot of my best insights come from my coaching calls, working directly with our clients, working with our clients in a group coaching call, individual setting, reviewing a lot of our expert senior coaches and all of our consultants and reviewing their calls. That's what becomes my content. And then the content feeds the offer. So if I'm speaking to you guys, and which I did, we spoke to people yesterday and they didn't really know that much about us because they're kind of new to our world. That actually feeds into our content. We bring this across. We tell our story. We share our journey. And that's really important, especially as your brand is building. Because I want you guys to build a valuable business brand, not a personal brand, a business brand, which grows your business. Cool. So hopefully, let me know in the chat, put a 1+1 if you think that this actually solves that problem, right? It gets over that hump. It gets over that hump of system, process, person. System, process, the person. Okay. We want to make sure we move through this process over time and it becomes actually scalable. Again, I don't want you guys doing more as you're getting to 20K, 30K, 40K a month. I want you guys following an actual process. Now, the third section here, and stick with me on this, is changing the behavior that selling is all about, like sales and being salesy. Does anyone feel like that? Does anyone feel like that? Is anyone scared of sales? And let me tell you a story. As you're letting me know if anyone's scared of sales, I'll tell you about my story of being scared of sales. So maybe 2022, 2023, when we were really growing, right, growing, fast, I was booking like a ton of calls, a ton of sales calls constantly. And I was genuinely, for the most part, like actually afraid if someone hopped on the call because I didn't even know what to say to them. And when they would no show, I would actually be secretly happier because I'm like, oh, I don't need to talk to someone. Thank God. Thank God I can avoid this pain, basically. And then I changed the mindset, okay? Because I wanted to change sales from being a thing that I was scared of to really looking at how do I serve the client. Because if you guys are at that 10K a month mark and you're doing a really, really good job, that's going to bring in the confidence. So let's say you're getting a good job with your clients. I want you guys to bring that energy into the sales process. And I want you guys to bring that energy into the DM process. Because if you're running any sort of DM funnel, which is just a fancy way for saying that speaking to clients in DM, all we want to do to get to that 30K a month mark is just focus on content. because that traffic source that we create from content on organic is actually all that you need. If you grow further, maybe more things you need. Right now, the only focus that you need right now is to refine the offer, have the right content that mirrors that content, whether that's from short form or long form, helping people through like a tactical framework. Here's how to generate more leads to your marketing agency, XYZ, whatever that specific offer is, based on the new kind of positioning that we've adjusted for you guys. Making sure that that pulls in the right people into the warm traffic, and then running what we call a setting engine. Okay. So a setting engine means we have the right inputs to create the right outputs that creates the right outcomes, which is on the calls. So this is the only function that we work on. Now, again, just for emphasis, we train people on sales. We help them learn DMs, learn the sales call process. I've also built over 70 sales teams in 2025 myself personally. So whether you're making 10K a month or a million a month, this setting engine is actually the same philosophy over and over again. And what this is I want you guys to create noise on the front end, which is more like awareness. Awareness of who you help, how you help them, and also start those conversations. So let's just say we're using like a LinkedIn funnel. Utilize the content to get hand raisers. Share your story. What is your origin story? Like basically who you are, how you came to what you be. Why do you do what you do? And then share the tactical side. When we bring people into our world, back to what Emmanuel said at the very beginning, I think it was Emmanuel, that you don't know what to say to people when they come in. This is the whole reason why we need all of your content to mirror your offer. Because if someone's come in and they've watched a video on how to optimize their sleep, and you help them as a health coach to optimize their sleep, all we need to do is reference back to that point. Hey, I saw you watch that reel about optimizing your health and optimizing your sleep. Is this something that you're struggling on, or is this something you actually want to improve yourself? We want to start the dialogue specifically with the prospect. We want to share the content that's most helpful to them. And this is where we teach people how to build sales assets. We look at content as an asset. We don't look at content as a way to just become famous. Because if a prospect comes through, they're in your ICP, you know you're solving a painful problem for a specific user, you know the delivery model is dialed, you know the outcome is there. How much easier is this sales process? It's a very step-by-step process. So this is the reason why we recommend everyone, absolutely everyone, to get the 30K a month mark to have that process. Now we have scripts on this, all this kind of stuff. Of course, there's more like methodical, but I want you guys to understand like what actually where does your energy flow? Because if we put you into your acquisition bucket in the morning, the acquisition bucket is focused on these two core sections: content and setting. And the second side of this is a conversion. Content, setting, conversion. And this is literally all that you need. I'm being very, very clear here, because what I found consistently, I've seen businesses do 200K, 300K, 400K a month with this exact same philosophy. Your setting follows your content, your calls follow your setting. And all I guys want you guys to do, right, is recruitment company that gets clients. One. Awesome. So Mike, we'll come back to the recruitment company if you don't mind, because we work with a ton of recruitment agencies and I have a bunch of stuff I can share with you on this. So just to kind of walk through this philosophy, right, is in the setting process, all I want you guys to do, very simple, is just follow this almost like three-step process. Is what's the pain that we can uncover with the prospect? So we'll use recruitment. As Mike mentioned, he's running a recruitment agency. So what that would mean is he's staffing people. He's putting people in people's companies. So what he would do is he would connect with a prospect and say, hey, Tom, a lot of people that we work with struggle with staffing their team in the right amount of time, in a quick time. Or when they need people, they need to go search for them. Is this a problem you're struggling with right now? And they'll say, yeah, well, we might not be looking for people right now, but we're looking for people in the future. Great. So that's the pain that they have. How does that manifest as a problem? For that specific example is they can't get the people in time, they're losing out on money, there's lost revenue, there's different layers that we can break down. And that's part of the setting process. Find out what the overarching pain is, finding out how this is manifesting as a problem inside of their business or personally, if it's business or consumer, and look at what is the root cause underneath there. So we'll take the example of staffing. Company does not have a way to hire talent. Company struggles to actually bring in the right talent. Company doesn't grow because of not having talent. And that's what Mike would solve. Here's how we can help you on short-term staff, long-term staff, and so on and so forth. These are the step-by-step processes. And we also own an executive assistant agency as well. So this is a very applicable offer to me because I know that feeling. So do we see here how we're basically gathering data continuously on our offer and our content process? And what I love about this process, guys, full transparency, is for you right now, like in your business, if you're speaking to prospects and you're following a pain problem, and then we'll talk about the next stage, which is process, then it's very easy for you guys to book these calls and then mirror these conversations. Let me give an example. If we understand what the pain is, we understand what the problem is, it's very simple for me to say, okay, look, from everything you told me, John, we can definitely help you. Would you like me to walk through on a call our process? They'll say yes. This is when we move over to the call. And this is how we end up booking a lot of calls. We end up helping our clients book a lot of calls because the pain is there. If there's no pain, there's no reason to get out of bed in the morning. There's no reason to move. And there's no reason to solve that problem. And this goes all the way back to the offer issue. And I think even looking at the recruitment example is another great example because a lot of times in recruitment, you need to manifest the problem. Hey, if you don't staff your team in time, this is what's going to happen. And this is where this is most applicable on the conversation side. And then the last point I'll say on this is when we do have the conversations running, please follow this process again on the call. What's the pain? What's the problem? What's the process that we solve with? And lastly, what's the price? I always follow a P structure: pain, problem, process, price. And you can keep that top of mind as you're coming back to this continuously. Okay? So again, these are warm conversations we're having. This isn't cold traffic. It doesn't even need to be cold traffic, to be honest, because a lot of times for this initial kind of jump to 30K a month, a lot of it is systematized. Okay? Now, this is where we want to focus on the warm traffic. Okay? And this is exactly as I mentioned with people like Mark that have done, because Mark was creating content and it's a personal development offer. It's helping people overcome childhood trauma. Okay? Very specific, very non-business related to do with leads and sales. And his content just really nails the problem of how this manifests in your life. It may, limit you, self-sabotage, addiction, all these things that he actually talks about in his content. And then it's just like, hey, if you want help with this, throw your hand up. They put their hand up. He speaks to them like a human, not like a potato. And then long story short, they're on a call and he knows he can actually help them. Why? Because we worked with Mark to have a very good process. So his delivery is dialed in. And to keep it simple, all we need to have is delivery process and the traffic process from here. So again, this really focuses on solving the issue around being pushy, right? Because when we're creating that goodwill content, and content is effectively just building goodwill with your audience, when they want to come and work with you, when you pull people into that ecosystem, that's when they take the next step with you. Specifically taking the next step with you. Okay? And then this is where we go into serving. Okay? Serve your audience directly. We produce content all the time because we're building that amazing goodwill with people that they want to work with us. And they want to come in and interact with us because the work is being designed in a way that it helps people. And hopefully you guys are getting a ton of value from this session already. And the last stage on this is about not having a massive team, right? So again, anyone here feel like that they still struggle because they're struggling to maybe build a team or have their first hire, all this kind of stuff? Well, the biggest thing I want to mention here is you don't need a big team at all. That's not what you need. What you actually need is revenue. And you need people that are going to drive revenue inside of your business. That's the biggest thing. So how I always discuss this is we look back at the chain. What are the biggest problems that you have right now inside of the business? And who can alleviate those problems? I'm not saying for you to drop 100K on a hire. I'm looking for you to bring in a specific role that's going to allow you to get back into acquisition. Because we need to put your time back into sales and marketing. and get your time out of the admin work, the delivery work, the fulfillment work. So the way I look at this is look at right now, just take a note on what's the biggest drag that's happening inside your business, what's causing you to slow down, churn clients, two different models, what's pulling you back in, and how can we solve this? And how I basically do this is we look specifically at the role, and the best way to think about this is every role has a soul. Don't try to get someone to do everything inside your business. Don't try to walk away from everyone. Don't try to walk away from all of your client responsibilities. Have one core focus inside of the role, and have one person come in to help you, because this is exactly what leverage is. Now, let's take the example of Sophia. So when Sophia started working with us, she was making around 20, 30K a month. How we pushed up to 145K a month was by looking at her offer. We made the offer undeniable, really making the offer just super dialed in. We secondly looked at how was she getting leads. It was actually from running events. She runs like events. Fine, totally fine. And lastly, it was who could support her. So she has a VA that helps on admin, and she had an ads manager that helped her run ads to get to 150K a month. Totally chill. There was a very, very simple process put in place. We processed down every single role for her, and it wasn't about doing more work, it was about doing right work. So now she has her time back, again, buying back her time, so that she's able to actually scale. And now, look, this was in a 1 year process, go from that 30K to 145K. And you guys might have different goals inside your business and so on and so forth as well. But it's not about doing more, it's really about doing less. Okay. So this should hopefully shatter that belief of I need 10 people, I need 20 people, I need to bring in more people. You really, really don't. I want you guys to have people that support you on the mission, but don't deter you from where you're going. Okay. And that's what leverage is. That's what true leverage is inside the business. So let's look at a few simple examples here. So the recruitment agency, very simple to have someone get you, help you on the fulfillment side. Okay. If someone is a solopreneur, having someone come in and maybe help on some editing side of things. If you're a fitness coach, it might be able to help someone actually on the delivery, keeping things very, very simple and keeping it very different. Okay, perfect. So Christian, you have a question here. For your marketing agencies, are your clients local or based in different countries? I'm a part of a 25K a month agency, and I'm seeing that most of our clients are local, and we have to go shoot all the content compared to performance marketing where you scale. Okay, cool. So look, you can have a few things here, Christian. So if you're making 25K a month, that's amazing. Firstly, that's incredible. If your clients are local, why not double down on some local right now, okay, and have a lot of clients that are there, but then also offer online services. If people are based in America and we sell, so for our agency, we're selling into an American market, all of our clients are based in America, and we work with them specifically on their content, on their sales. So you can do that too, right? You can have that online offer, which is where I really want to maybe put your energy into long term. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, the traditional approach to kind of scale is this, right? Ads, team, work, complexity. That's the biggest thing here. Is like you need to run all the ads, you need to have all the team, you have all the people in place. You actually don't, right? Don't need any of that stuff. What we need to do is bring this way down. Bring this way down into fixing the offer, fixing the content, and fixing the sales process. So feel free to add in some questions here as well as we're doing this. And we're actually going to move as well back over to Webinar Jam. So if you're on, let's say, LinkedIn right now, and if you're on Instagram right now, and YouTube, we're going to actually put in a link to come back into Webinar Jam for the Q&A, because we're going to go more